evocative pictures and music later on in the program. Hello and welcome to Stateline. I'm Catherine Garrett. Coming up, the Birthing Centre. Book early to avoid disappointment. Rare Australian photos uncovered for the first time at the National Library. And Canberra's own marathon man. First though, did you know that vegetables have footprints? The cost of transporting them from where they grow to where they're bought is both financial and environmental. With a national political focus this week on carbon emissions, we're all looking at ways we can reduce our footprint on the planet. Craig Allen has found a local veggie farmer committed to the cause.
In our globalised world, you can buy anything, anytime, from virtually anywhere. Our supermarket shelves are flooded with cheap imports. Rice from Pakistan, oranges from California. Wherever retailers can find the food at the right price to keep a competitive edge. Then there's Choco by Joe in North Lynham.
Thanks, Boston. Thanks very much.
The name of the shop is Choco by Joe, which just means direct selling place in Japan. We chose that name because there are a lot of these type of shops in Japan.
The store could best be described as a boutique fruit and veggie shop, but one that's putting its environmental credentials on prominent display. Where else could you see the name of the farmer who's grown your veggies, or the distance it's travelled to market?
Food miles basically gives an indication of how far the food has travelled that you are purchasing. It's quite a difficult concept, especially when you're dealing with processed foods, because different parts come from different places. With fruit and vegetables, it's fairly straightforward.
Food miles is a concept that's growing in acceptance in Europe and the US, but has been slow to catch on here.
Well, food miles is roughly the distance travelled by food from paddock to our plate. I suppose more properly, food miles actually is the environmental costs of transporting food around the country and around the world.
Conservationists admit the measure is crude and doesn't tell the full story about the environmental effort that went into producing the goods we're buying. But it does educate consumers, and that's a start.
We've all grown up, especially people of my generation, have grown up with food 24/7. We can have any kind of food we want pretty much any time of the day or night and any time of the year. And so many of us don't really think about how far our food has travelled, or indeed how it was produced, how the land was managed, how it was processed and so on.
Thanks.
You won't see food miles on products in the major supermarkets, but some conservation groups think we should.
Right now, when you walk into a supermarket, you're really left clueless as to where the food comes from or the environmental pressures associated with it. So you're really not able to differentiate on that basis.
For the Pentony family, advertising food miles was a logical extension to their farming philosophy.
Where we are is at Clonamala, which is our family property, where we grow chemical-free vegetables. My wife is Japanese. She was interested in growing Japanese vegetables and Asian vegetables for ourselves on the farm. It just grew from there.
As a former statistician, Dave Pentony might seem obsessed with the cost of his production inputs, but that runs to the environmental costs as well.
Did you try it before, or this is first time?
I never tried.
Never tried it before, like experiment.
Yeah.
His veggie farm near Hall uses no artificial weed or pest sprays, and he builds up his rich soil through copious quantities of organic matter dug in by hand. He found that producing quality food wasn't the problem, it was all in the selling.
The problem that we had was that once we produced any volume of product, and we could see that this was a problem for everyone around here, the only way of marketing it was by packaging it and sending it down to Sydney and then having it coming back here again. And that seemed extremely inefficient and was very cost ineffective. As far as we were concerned, we got very little from it. And so we wanted to find a way of direct marketing more. And so that was the concept of the farmers' markets.
The farmers' market at Epic now sees an estimated 5,000 customers every Saturday, indicating the demand for locally grown produce over imports. So the family branched out to a full-time outlet.
Okay, that's the lot then, Ben?
Yeah, that's it.
When it comes to low food miles, few could beat this effort. It's just 15 kilometres from the paddock to the shop. But alongside the produce from their own farm and other mainstream growers, there are a few backyard surprises.
We have some people just from the surrounding suburbs that bring stuff in for us. You know, someone with a lemon tree in their backyard that obviously won't be able to sell to anyone else. I mean, the fruit would just rot on the ground. But we've had someone who had like a couple of trees in their backyard bring in about 150 kilos of lemons, and we sold them for them.
So the little bit that we all do, like coming to shop in a place like this, with being conscious of the carbon miles, is definitely has a great influence.
Most retailers scour the world to find the cheapest products to undercut their rivals. But the cost to the planet could well outstrip the savings to the customer.
There's probably no asparagus produced within Australia right now, so if you're buying asparagus, it's probably coming from Argentina or somewhere.
At the same time, there appears to be growing consumer demand for better information about not just where our food comes from, but the environmental costs of delivering it to our shelves.
Definitely people are interested in where things come from. And I mean, a lot of our bigger competitors basically don't look at things like that. And I mean, if you go into Coles and Woolworths, you're eating Chinese garlic, Chinese snow peas, Peruvian asparagus, American citrus. Do people really want that?
Canberra is in the middle of a baby boom, with birth numbers in the territory steadily climbing in the past few years. Preliminary figures show an increase of more than 800 babies